So hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different, okay? You guys have gotten to know me quite well over the past 3 or 4 years? 3 years, just counted there. But of course, I did exist before I had a YouTube channel, shockingly. And there's a lot of stuff that I have done that I haven't kind of talked about or put on YouTube, so I thought that I would do a compressed version of my life. So I'm going to be doing this in React style because I thought it would be fun. It's going to look like a clusterfuck because my background with whatever's going to be on screen is going to be a lot, but anyway. So technically this is starting off the decade. This was in London, Hammersmith Apollo 2009. We're in 2019, so that's their polar ends of the decade. It counts, okay? Just keep that in mind. Keep this one thing in mind. This is a band called McFly. I'm batshit. Have been batshit for this band since I was like 10. Currently wearing a McFly t-shirt. Like, yeah guys, we got it bad, but yeah. Then moving on to 2010, can we just talk for a second about the state of me? honey, love. That was outside the O2. I hadn't been in the O2. I went there for something, or was up around that area for something. Oh, this was in Birmingham 2010. This was the end of the year. This was 30 Seconds to Mars. I was on stage with them, which was insane. Absolutely batshit crazy. That's Shannon, by the way. Look at the quality of that camera. Were you filmed on a potato? And then that's Jared. I was side stage for the whole show because of the ticket level I had. I also met them that year as well. And that picture was taken by my mother because I hated the official picture. Moving on, I guess. We're in New York now. That's the same year. That is end of 2010. That's Toys R Us. Do you guys remember Toys R Us? Oh my god. The big dinosaur used to scare the shit out of me. And they had the coolest shit hanging up all around. That was the coolest toy shop in the world. I don't even care. I used to love that place so much. 2011, I went to see My Chemical Romance up in Dublin. Look at them majestic motherfuckers. And they've made a comeback. They're currently in the process of making a comeback, and I'm waiting for them to announce a date over here so I can go and relive my youth. Okay, there's a story behind this. This is very weirdly edited. This was Germany 2011. I flew to Hamburg for a 30 Seconds to Mars show because, like, music is literally the biggest thing in my life, in case you guys haven't noticed. I vividly remember this. This was the day after the show. And see this sign right here? We had to get in a little bit closer there. We had to queue, like, up where this sign is the day previous for, like, far too fucking long.
That big white thing was where we queued yesterday, remember? Let's just see if the stage is still there, shall we? Hey, it's still there! That big silver thing is the stage. Yes. I was on that stage yesterday.
Oh yeah, I was on stage for Kings and Queens. Oh, hang on, honey. So can we just freeze frame on my face right there? That's an incredibly flattering angle. I'm happy. That place held like between 50 and like 70 or 80,000 people. Big ass crowd. Amazing moment. Amazing moment. That's Tomo from the band. That was a really incredible night. I have to give it to them. And then I met them after the show. That was Oxygen Festival in 2011 up in Dublin. Oh, that was, again, My Chemical Romance. They were like playing that day. It was a music festival and it was just one of the greatest things I had ever up to that point witnessed. I just thought my little mind was going to blow up from the awesomeness. And then All Time Low were playing that day too. And Jack, yeah, Jack gets down off the stage. And I hold his hand and pull him up onto the barrier. Oh man, I remember I actually thought I was going to pass out from excitement. All Time Low are still one of my favourite bands to this day. So like Jack holding onto my hand and me pulling him up onto the barrier was like a spiritual awakening or some shit at that age. Then we have New York again.
Go ahead, Dad.
Okay, so this was my dad filming me, and I think I was filming my brother. I couldn't find the footage I was recording at that moment. Can we just take a moment to talk about my gloves? Look at those fucking gloves. Quick bit of backstory. Frank from My Chemical Romance had gloves that had like skeleton bones on them. So naturally I needed gloves that had skeleton bones on them. This is a picture just to keep in mind. This is in Madame Tussauds in, I think that was New York as well. That was the same trip. I'm meeting Johnny Depp right now. Oh my god. Here's a picture I fucking love, right? Because my dad is a pretty stressed person. But when we travel, the man just goes off the wall, batshit stressed. We were trying to check out of our hotel and look at the stressed, speedy man go. Then there's NKOTBSB in Dublin. That's New Kids on the Block and Backstreet Boys. For those of you who don't know, don't fucking judge me. I love my boy bands, okay? Oh my god, yeah, this is Good Charlotte. This was in a really tiny venue up in Dublin called the Academy. They were insane live. Oh man, I still love Good Charlotte to this day. And yes, I can go from like boy bands to Good Charlotte, okay? I don't have a music taste. And then there was Blink 182. This was the day before my 16th birthday up in Dublin again. And this is the original lineups of Tom, Mark and Travis. And it was an absolute magical experience to get to see them live because everybody who loves music has loved Blink at some point. And I just, oh my God, I loved them. And that's one of my favourite concert pictures that I've ever taken. And then 2013, we're going back to Dublin. This is 30 Seconds to Mars above in Dublin. And yes, I dressed up as a fucking leprechaun to meet them. This show was in November, by the way. I thought it was a good idea to dress up as a leprechaun. I don't know why. And then Jared was like, oh, you're an elf. And I was like, bitch, what the fuck? Do I look like an elf? I'm a leprechaun. And everyone was like, why? And I was like, I don't fucking know. And then we're swinging back over to New York again because, oh, that was the Hard Rock Cafe. I thought that place was like the coolest place in the world at the point. Because, you know, it is. It's really cool. Me trying to pretend I like the snow. This picture is a prime example of like, you're on holiday, you're freezing, you're hungry, you kind of just want to get inside and your parents are like, oh my God, smile for a picture. And you're like, take it! Okay, now, so very quickly, just before we move on to the next segment, I just want you all to not judge me and remember that I am sometimes cool, okay? We're about to enter into my One Direction phase. This was 2014. The boys were at the height of their fame. I was a young teenage girl with hormones and a lot of love and I didn't know where to put it, so I put it into One Direction. So fucking sue me. I don't give a fuck. And I'm still waiting for the day they come back so I can just completely disregard my life and go follow them on tour. So this was the One Direction stage. Not a lot to say there. There's a lot to unpack. Yes, this was my bedroom. Fun fact, that actually is where I currently record. Like, thank fuck I grew up and changed a bit and at least I learned how to like organise my obsessions to make them look half cool instead of this. Yeah, like there's not a lot to say. I was obsessed and I was super fucking happy. And yes, there's also, you know, pictures of me and Jared Leto on pillows because I loved Jared Leto at the time and it was a good old time to be alive. So we go from being obsessed with One Direction to actually seeing them live. This was Dublin and I took this video. Look at that shit. Can we just take a moment to appreciate that, like, that was the exact moment my little fragile heart shattered in my fucking chest and cut through me. Having the five of them walk past me was just like mind-blowing. I have peaked. Life doesn't get any better than this. So that was Croke Park in Dublin. I think it was 2014. So that was a pretty amazing night. I queued all day long and got front row along the barrier. Another one of my favourite concert pictures that I've ever taken. So my mom took this picture of me. That's me on night 2 looking at, I think it was Harry was in front of me. Either that or I was looking at like the big screen. Look at me crying down my fucking face. Living my life. Little bouncy boy. This is a bit of a long story. This is the Sunday night. So we went to see One Direction in Croke Park the Friday and the Saturday night. And then the Sunday night we went across town to where New Kids on the Block were playing because I'd bought my mom a meet and greet for her birthday. It's such a long and weird fucking story. But in one weekend we went to 3 shows. This was one of them. Joey got off the stage and stood like in the seat in front of us. And I thought my mom's little brain was going to explode. Look at him, just doing his little wiggly dance. Go, Joe. We also met them that day, but I don't think my mom wants the meet and greet photos in because, again, she doesn't really like being on camera. So I have I have done my daughterly duties and not included it. This was also the year I graduated school. We were a very mature class, as you can tell. YOLO. Do you guys remember YOLO? Oh my God. That dates this so bad. But yeah, that was the year I graduated and thank fuck because I hated school. I hated everything about that school. You know, the day I graduated is probably one of the happiest days of my life. Then later that year, I went to London by myself for the first time ever. I'm very happy about that. Look at me go. I was 18 years old. I had never even left my city by myself. I flew to London alone to meet One Direction, which is like... They were doing a book signing and the tickets went on sale on a Monday. I bought a ticket. It was limited to 100 people. How I got that ticket is still a mystery to me. But I managed to get the ticket and then kind of sat in my kitchen and went, oh, Mom, I have to go to London in 2 days because the meet and greet was on the Wednesday. And my parents were like, well, honey, you know, we have jobs. We can't do that. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to London alone then. And I did. I gotta say, though, if that was for anything else, I would not have gone. But my little... teenage ass was like, I am not missing an opportunity to meet One Direction. And there I am meeting them. Look, I'm looking at Harry like he is the absolute sun because he is. He is just a ray of beauty who I love so deeply. Yes, the other boys were there too and it was great meeting all of them, but meeting Harry was like, Moving on. Then in 2015, we got my dog, which is quite a weird change of pace given what you just saw, but I also met Michael Rooker this year. He was the first ever cast member from The Walking Dead that I met. This was, I think, around the start of my Walking Dead obsession. My hands shook the entire time. Really nice dude. Same year, I also went to see Taylor Swift in Dublin, alone, getting to see Taylor on the 1989 tour. I love her. I think she's a fantastic singer, a great woman, and getting to see her live for the first time was insane. That was wildest dreams. I can tell just by the fact she's at the piano. I also went to see 5 Seconds of Summer in Dublin same year because I saw them. They opened for One Direction in Croke Park and I thought they were really cool, so I went to see them. I still really love them. Look at Callum, bounce little man. But that as a whole was just a really shitty year for me. I tried to blur that year out. But there was some highlights, as you just saw. But we're going to get back to talking about stuff kind of like that in a minute, so yeah. I met Scott Wilson then the following year. I think this was 2016. There's a photo of me looking confused with Einstein. That was at Madame Tussauds in London. No one had ever thought of something like this before, to look confused in front of Einstein. Kate, you are so unique. This was also the first year that I really started properly meeting Walking Dead cast members. I met Chandler Riggs, and look how awkward I look. I actually want to die. I didn't even put my handbag down. Look at my awkward asshole. Do you know what? Move on. This is a funny photo because my dad is at the other side of Andy and you can kind of see his shoulder, but my dad was like, good God, don't ever put me on the internet, so I have cropped my dad out. First time I met Norman, again, I nearly fucking died. Okay, moving on. There's me fucking away from regular life, fucking off into platform 9 3/4. Here's another picture to keep in mind for later. It's me with Russell Brand, not the real one, waxwork in Madame Tussauds in London. Growing up, I was really heavy into comedy and I liked comedians an awful lot. My favourites were Billy Connolly, Russell Brand and Tommy Tiernan. But I did really love Russell Brand growing up. I thought his comedic timing and his use of language in particular was really funny. This was also the year that I started my channel. Look at baby fetus me. Look at me. Oh my God, honey, the makeup, the hair. What is going on? I don't even know what I'm talking about there. But I'm angry. Anyway, moving on from that, I also went to see Little Mix in 2016 because they're fucking awesome. Great girl group, really loved them. My big head was literally blocking out half the girls there. Look at their beauty. Oh my God. That was also the year that I wrote for The Walking Dead magazine, which is probably, can I make myself a bit bigger? Because now I'm too small. That was probably one of the craziest, proudest moments of my life. Getting to write for a magazine that I'd been buying for years was fucking crazy. Now, sadly, the magazine has been discontinued since then, but getting the opportunity to write for my favourite magazine was like insane. That's also the year that I nearly died. Quick change of pace right there. That's me in a hospital bed, like really not doing very fucking good. That was probably the single worst weekend I have ever experienced. I was in serious danger, not fun stuff, but I lived through that shit. I am just a stubborn bitch who will not give up, and I was like, no. So even though things got a bit shit towards the end of that year, 2018 was a pretty awesome year too. It was the first time I ever interviewed a cast member of The Walking Dead. My first interview was with Mr. Carrie Payton. You guys know how much I love Ezekiel, and my love for Carrie knows no fucking ends. I love that man. I will support him in anything that he does. And getting to talk to him was incredible, and it was nerve-wracking, and I had to drink vodka before the interview to try and calm down. But anyway, this right here is really weird. There's two of me. There's one down here, but there's me up there too. The fuck? Oh God, I was blonde for that, I remember. Why did I think going blonde was a good idea?
If I have any advice for anybody doing anything, not acting, but anything, you know, is to pursue what you love to do with passion.
I love him. And then after that, we're back to London again. I just can't stay away from London. Again, meeting more Walking Dead cast members: Josh McDermott, Greg Nicotero, Lenny James, Seth Gillum, Tom Payne, I miss him, Austin Emilio, Ross Marquand, who was strikingly beautiful in real life. I got to meet Melissa, Jeffrey, Denai, who is stunning, Norman, again. I think some of those were from last year, or were they from this year? I don't remember. My timelines aren't exactly perfect because I have a really bad memory. So if they're from different years, you know. And then remember how I told you that the picture with Russell would kind of come into play? It did, because I got to really meet him, the real him. He had a book event in my city, and my mom got me tickets for Christmas, and without me knowing, told me, and then was like, you're going to get to see Russell. So I got to see one of his stand-up shows, which was incredible. And he also did a signing of his book, which is the book that's in my hand. Oh my God, I look like I'm about to fucking die. It's the lighting, you guys. I swear to God, it's the lighting. I look really I look like a frightened little alien. See, I'm very shy, and he's quite a full-on intense person. Like, look at his hands up on my shoulders and everything. I felt very like I'm gonna freak out right now. Very overwhelmed. It was very overwhelming meeting him, but he was super nice, super chill. He was very engaging. He was very much like, you know, if you're there, he's talking to you, as you can see. And then we're fucking back off up to Dublin to see 30 Seconds to Mars again. This was 2019. So that's this year. Wait. No, it wasn't. That's last year. That's still 2018. Yeah. That's last year. Got to meet them again, but of course Tomo has left, so it was just me, Jared and Shannon. Then it was time I went on holiday with my boyfriend. We fucked off to London. There I am. We stayed in this like weird apartment fucking place, and that's me trying my hardest to make something to eat. It was in the middle of June. It was in the middle of a heat wave. I was so hot I wanted to physically fucking die and sizzle into hell. You know, it was that fucking warm. Yeah, you can see Wembley from our bedroom window where we stayed.
Honestly, I don't even know why I'm talking. I'm not sure if I'm gonna dub over this or not.
Spoiler, you didn't.
What?
It's David talking to me in the background.
We have a fully stocked fridge.
Fully stocked. The fuck?
Did you eat all the magnums, David?
Oh yeah, he bought a fuck ton of magnums. And then remember how I said that photo of Johnny Depp was going to come in, you know, handy in later, whatever? It did, because I actually got to meet him too, which was... He's in this band with Alice Cooper and Joe Perry, and I really love Alice Cooper. I love heavy music, which I know mightn't be very obvious based on what you guys have just seen as to who I go to see live, but I have a very wide taste in music, but I do tend to gravitate more towards the kind of heavier stuff. Alice Cooper is a living fucking icon and legend. So this whole thing just had me shocked as fuck. Look at the fucking state of me, first of all. That's the same dress I wore in the last fucking meet and greet I went to. This was the same year I met 30 Seconds to Mars, and then like 2 months later I met Hollywood Vampires. And I don't know why, but I was just really fucking feeling that goddamn skirt that year. I was just like, it's the best thing I've ever fucking worn in my life. It wasn't love. Like, no. Look at the look of sheer fear on my face. And that show as well, everybody was wearing like black band t-shirts and like little vests and shit. And I turn up looking like a fucking flower child hippie from the 70s. Like, hey guys. Although, it did kind of work to my advantage because Alice Cooper stood and had like a 4-minute conversation with me about my tattoos, and he wanted to see all them and what they meant. He's a really nice guy. And then of course I got to see them live after the meet and greet, which was fucking insane. Look at him. Look at Alice. Oh my god. Yeah. I also got to see The Darkness. I wonder did I include that? The Darkness opened for them. No, I didn't. That's a different thing. I got to see The Darkness too, which again is another band I've loved since childhood. They opened for Hollywood Vampires. This is a different story entirely. This was, I got to go and have lunch at the BAFTAs because I, for some reason, have connections. Toby, who I mentioned earlier when talking about the magazine, hooked me up with lunch at the BAFTAs, and it was just insane. I felt out of place the whole time because, you know, I'm somebody who really should not ever even leave my house. So the fact I was here looking at shit like this was just mind-blowing. Thanks, Toby! And then it was on to see Taylor Swift at the Reputation tour. This shit was just next level. If I thought 1989 Live was unreal, this shit was next level. I went with David, who also was like blown away by this shit. She also brought Niall Horan out on stage during the show, which made previous me, if you guys remember Obsessed with One Direction, mind blown. They sang Slow Hands together. Again, another one of my favourite concert photos that I've taken. And then very later in that year, I went to see Paul McCartney with my brother and my mum because my brother is a massive Beatles absolute nut. He loves them. So we brought him to see Paul McCartney at the O2, which, as you can see, was absolutely insane. His pyrotechnic guys were fucking batshit crazy. You could feel the heat from the fireworks and it was so loud you could barely even hear the music. It was fucking insane. That trip, we also went down to Canopy Street because they had a Queen lights display. The whole street was Queen. Like, look at that. It was the lyrics to Bohemian Rhapsody going up and down the street. I just walked up and down the street crying repeatedly. And then there was a Bohemian Rhapsody pop-up shop where they had handwritten lyrics from the band, from songs the Queen had done. They had, like, huge displays. They had Roger Taylor's drum kit, which, like... Guys, this is an actual drum kit that Roger Taylor played on. I just hovered by this drum kit and like cried because he had played on it. They also had Brian May guitars, but like you couldn't get anywhere near them. I touched Roger's drum kit. You weren't supposed to, but I did. I just stroked the side of one of the cymbals and was like, heh. And then finally we're on to this year. At the start of this year, I went to see 21 Pilots in Dublin with my brother. This was, I think this was during Bandito. They came up onto the B stage and me and my brother were front row for that. That was insane. And this again is another one of my favourite concert photos. I had waited 3 years to see them. I know in the grand scheme of things it's not that long, but to me it felt like forever. And that's my little 21 Pilots tattoo from the song Migraine. And that's my little 21 Pilots tattoo, so the fact that I kind of made it to see them live was just a big deal. There's me and my mom getting ready to go out in London. This is probably one of my favourite things I have ever done, ever, in the last decade. This was getting to see Panic at the Disco live, and I cannot explain to you what this was like. Again, this was the O2 in London. Getting to see Brendan fucking Urie live is probably one of, if not my actual favourite thing that I've done in the last 10 years. My love for that man knows absolute, like, no end. And during a song called Dying in LA, he was on a little piano that literally flew over the whole crowd. I don't know why, and even my mother got emotional. The two of us were like, it was just such a special moment. And the whole arena was lit up with like little lights from phones. And then on to another convention. I finally met Stephen Yeun, Ryan Hurst, Matt Lintz. Let me move myself out the way a little bit more. Cooper! Love him. Avi Nash, who is so lovely in real life. Angel Theory, who again is absolute adorable in real life. Oh, we're just moving right on to this, are we? Okay. So I didn't really mention it, but back in, I think it was 2015, I got my first ever job. I started working in a little shop in town. I started off as a Saturday girl and I worked my way up to being a key holder, and eventually I was kind of like acting manager with just me and another girl working there. I worked there for 4 years. I loved the shop. I loved the people I worked with. It became a family. And then sadly we closed this year. In May of this year we had to close our doors because it's just, business had gone really quiet and really kind of shitty. I had the idea that I wanted to get a tattoo for very personal reasons for the shop. We all went out to lunch, me, this girl who worked at me, and my two bosses. We went to lunch and I told them my plan, and then we all decided, holy shit, yeah. So we all got matching tattoos. Where is it? This one, 58, because that was our unit number. Then I went up to see the Backstreet Boys in Dublin for my birthday, which was insane. Queued all day long to get up at the front, and it was so fucking worth it. AJ is my favourite, for those of you who don't know. One of the things that I am most surprised at or proud of that has happened in the past year has probably been the interviews I've gotten to do. If you guys have kept up to date with my channel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This summer for me was a summer of anxiety and stress and uncertainty for the future. And in the midst of all that, I was arranging all these interviews and putting together lists of questions and trying to appear like I had myself somewhat together, even though I really didn't. I had to include some of them.
Houses were for other people. I don't know why. I think I'm very proud of nurturing, I think, which is why I wanted a home, because I'm very proud of the way I nurture my family and my friends.
You know, be with and not be with. So anyway, I feel like there's probably more of a journey for her to explore there, but she's come so far in her healing. But yes, I think June is like, let's do this. Let's live. Let's find a way.
I love to bake also. I love baking.
Really?
Like, it doesn't matter how late it is. I'll go back to my apartment and I'll bake. Like, I love it. Even if I don't eat it, I just love it. I find it so therapeutic.
Yeah. You take them out, you do it really quick. But I also kept another flashlight holder where I put my sonic screwdriver. I've always had the sonic screwdriver. It also worked because if you're cabling, and then I'll be like, all right, let me make an adjustment, all right, and I'll finish it, all right, and it would just mess with kids and certain adults I would do it with.
And then more recently it was time to head back to London again in November. Flew into London City Airport, which is really tiny but really nice. And remember the way I said this photo was going to come into play? That photo was at the O2 Arena, and it was at the very beginning of the decade. That was the very start. I think it was like 2009 or 2010, one or the other. But it was the start of the decade. And then there I am, ending the decade at the O2 Arena. That's the O2 outside the window, which is kind of weird, and I didn't plan that shit at all.
I've made a lot of happy memories in that building.
Yup. I went to see McFly, which was the band I went to see at the very, very, very beginning of the decade. I went to see them again, and I'm going to see them again on tour twice next year because I fucking love them. And yeah, that's been my decade. And I told you guys in the McFly video, I have a habit of waving goodbye to hotel rooms. I wasn't fucking around with you guys. I really do that. That was in London this year. That was in London, I think, 2 years ago. My arm is full of cling film because I had just gotten this tattoo at a convention. That room was the room I stayed in the time I met One Direction by myself. That was the first time I went to Walker Stalker. That was the apartment I stayed in with David when we went to see Taylor Swift in London. And then my mom joined in. That was this year in London. That was March just gone. And then, of course, my brother has joined in the past just to photobomb photos. Guess which hand is which? That has been the last 10 years for me. Am I really going to leave that as the end slate? No, I'm not. But I've been through some ups and downs, and of course, what you guys saw there has just been the highlights. Those were all the highlights of the last 10 years for me, the best moments. Of course, that's not very true, is it? That's not what my whole life has been like the last 10 years. There's been downs. But for every bad, there is a lot of fucking good, and that's what I wanted to highlight in this video. But, again, I just want to kind of reiterate, not everything is daisies and fantastic shit, you know? There were shit moments too. But I'm not exactly going to take a selfie every time I break up with someone or get broken up with or lose a job or, you know, like I got my tooth removed last month. That was something actually really great that I did. But, like, I'm not going to post a video of me out of my mind on, like, pain meds with a numbed mouth, not being able to speak. Another personal achievement I'm really proud of is today marks 2 weeks since I stopped smoking as of recording this video. I'm just proud that I dragged my ass to the end of the fucking decade and I get to ring in 2020. Who'd have fucking thought it, my guys? Who would have fucking thought it? Here we are. Thank you for helping me build this channel. This channel, I think I started it, I mentioned, in 2016. That has been one of the proudest moments ever, is watching this little baby grow. Having people care about me, having people relate to me for whatever reasons and tell me so. And it's been an incredible thing for me to watch and be proud of. Thank you for caring, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. And I hope that 2020 is kind to each and every fucking one of you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you all soon.